Testing 1, 2, 3. My internet just got disconnected for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. But we're back. Okay, for some reason my internet just got disconnected. I don't know really why it happened, but sometimes it happens, and my live stream just goes down completely. But that's fine. Let's try again. So as I was saying earlier, we were talking about the weapon tag, and this macro here identifies what kind of weapon we have. If you have a pistol, if you have a rifle or a bow, it could be any type. So basically here we get a branch, and based on that branch we basically have the information if the weapon is found or not. And after this, depending on which weapon we detect, if it's a rifle or a pistol or a bow, we're going to select and execute a right. So depending on which weapon we detect, we're going to play a montage. We're going to execute a series of checks and other codes in here. So as soon as you press F to pick up the pistol, so as you can see, identify the pistol as the weapon type. And then here we're going to select and play this foot correction in here. I think if you don't play that, it doesn't really matter, but I think it's very important to play that in case the feet doesn't correct itself. Sometimes the feet, it just sticks on the ground and it looks weird. So sometimes it's better to play that animation. It's not always that it happens, but I think it's better to play that to avoid bugs. Here we set the block movement input to be enabled, so that it's going to basically block the player movement input, so that even if you press any kind of key to move the character, it's not going to work. And the reason for that is because we want to avoid bugs while in the process of picking up the weapon. So here's going to check if the character has the rifle in hands while picking up the pistol. If it doesn't, then we're going to just play a duration, and this duration is going to be it's going to be basically wait for the pickup animation to complete. And the pickup animation, it lasts for 8 milliseconds actually. Probably more than that in this case. So here's going to check if the character is alive. So this is actually wait for the turn for the foot correction animation to complete. We're actually aiming for this foot correction in here. So as soon as it completes, we are going to proceed with the other code. But I think this is better done with something like this. Let's say after it completes or after it blends out, or if it's interrupted, we're going to proceed with the code. I think this is the best way to do this if we're just waiting for this animation in here. So what that's going to do is that as soon as we play the foot correction, if it's blend out or it's interrupted, we're going to proceed with the other checks. And that's going to be a lot better. As you can see right there, I think it works even better. And it works a lot faster than before. So here, just going to do a check if character is still alive after the montage is completed. This is a very important step, especially if you're working with enemies that could kill the character. You know, anything that could happen in the process of, you know, playing the foot correction. Fit position. And if the character is still alive, then you're going to run another fraction of code in here. And on this one, I'm going to just set a comment to be in here. And we're going to disable walk and aim modes in case they are active. So in case the character is walking in the process of, you know, getting the foot to be corrected, and also in the process of picking up the weapon, we're going to disable the walk and aim mode if the character is in that state. So HasPistolInHands, I think this variable here is better to place after the character actually picks up the weapon to avoid bugs. So what I'm actually going to do is just unplug this and just play the pickup weapon animation. And this delay here is to basically wait for the pickup animation to complete. So wait for pickup animation to complete. And after it completes, of course, you can just run the other code. So we're going to update the state to be HasPistolInHands to be true. And we're going to check if the character is alive again. And if the character is not alive, then we're going to cancel the weapon pickup event. In case if the character is still alive, then we're going to play. We're going to stop the play pickup weapon animation, and we're going to block the movement input. We're going to disable the block movement input variable, which is going to allow the character to move again by the input given by the player. So I'm just going to go ahead and test it out. to see if it's going to work. Okay, it works. Now I think we could move this part of code in here from here to the pistol, from the pickup weapon event. So as you can see, it already has the code in here. I think the only thing that you need to do really is just copy and paste this code right here. So this is going to work in case if it's the pistol, so we're going to have to check it out to make some changes, but this is just for testing purposes. So I'm just going to test to see if it's going to work. As you can see, it's working now. Basically, we have a delay of 3 milliseconds until we set the play pickup animation, weapon animation back to false. So that's going to stop that animation. It's going to allow the player to be able to move the character, and it's going to update the variable HasPistolInHands if the identified weapon is the pistol itself. So what I'm going to do here is just copy and paste this switch, which basically tells us which weapon was identified before on the process of picking up the weapon. So what this is going to be very simple. It's just going to update the pistol in hands state. So we have the HasPistolInHands boolean here. We also have the we're going to right click and set the has rifle in hands as well. So you can enable that variable. And in case if you have the bowl, we're going to also enable that variable as well. All right. So after done this, we could delete this. So this boolean here is going to allow the character to play the allow to play the pickup animation, which is basically this one right here. So as soon as that boolean is true, it's going to basically play. So after that boolean is true, we're going to change the blend. And if the blend is true, the active value is true, we're going to switch. We're going to use the state machine. And after using that state machine, we're going to use the pickup animation. And then after that boolean, the same boolean is false, we're going to switch back to the normal locomotion. Now, in case if the character is going to pick up the rifle, let's see what happens in here. Okay, so if he has the pistol 1H in hand, let me just get the pistol first. So in case if the character has the pistol 1H in hands, so it's going to happen this. We're gonna have to figure out what's the issue in here. Okay, so I have an idea. Because we're using the same references when we holster the weapon and when we pick up the weapon and when we have the weapon equipped, we need to have different references of the weapon. As of now, we have only one reference, and that's causing the character to not know which weapon is which, right? So I think to be able to fix that, we would need to make different references for the weapon master. So we would need to have a reference of which weapon is on the character's. Basically separate the weapon, the weapons references. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what to do. Weapon tag. Okay, let me try this. Anuko said hi. Hello, Anuko. All right, so for anyone who's wondering, what I'm trying to do is basically separate those references. And the reason why is because we have the same reference for, so when we run an attach node or set actor location, it requires a target. But the target is the same reference of, the weapon that we're currently holding, we're currently trying to pick up. So I'm trying to separate things. So I'm basically trying to tell the engine what is what blueprint, what rifle, what blueprint rifle reference is different from the other ones. I'm just trying to separate those references. So the pistol is going to have its own reference, and the rifle is going to have its own reference, so that we can separate things a little bit. And I don't really know if this is going to work at all. So I'm just trying new things to see if it's going to work, to try to resolve that bug that we have there. As I've never done this before, this is the first time, so we might expect some bugs throughout the live stream. Actually, I think there's a better way to do this instead of getting all the references in here. All right, hopefully this works. Nope, not yet. Not yet. All right. Mogamu said hello. Hello, what's up, Mogamu? How are you doing? Okay, so if I remove this macro here, the holster weapon macro, as you can see, when I pick up the next weapon, in this case the rifle, if the character has the pistol 1H in hands, as you can see, it goes to true. But if I don't have this macro set up in here, it's not going to holster the weapon. In this case, what I want to holster is the pistol first before picking up the rifle. Now in here, what you want is to have the skeletal mesh reference of the pistol. But this is very complicated. I don't know where I got into this, but essentially what's going to happen here is that we're going to select the right reference based on the weapon tag. But this didn't work. It was just a test. Say Fred, say hi, hello. So let me just debug this to see what's happening here. So when I try to print the string, what I really want to print is, so as soon as I press F, so as you can see, it gets the rifle first, and then, right? Okay. So I think what's really need to be done in here is to separate things. So let's say if let's separate things a little bit here. So if HasPistolInHands in hands, if it's true, then you're going to know. You sound tired, bro. You good? I'm good. HasPistolInHands in hands. Okay, so if this is true, we're going to know. Okay. this is not being set to true for some reason. So HasPistolInHands not being set to true. That's a very good information. Monster Mode said, hi guys, what's up? So in case if you guys have any questions related to anything, you can ask. Right now, today, I'm just trying to figure out some bugs here. monster mode. So one bug I found in my setup is that the player starts glitching when it's overlapping a weapon with physics on before pick up its capsule component that moving it. Oh, okay. I can turn off pawn in collision on weapon, but I would like to keep it on. Yeah, if you're having this kind of bug, let me show you. So I think the final result you want is to be able to, still have the physics collision of the weapon, of the skeletal mesh. But not affect the capsule component and not glitch the character movement, right? So you can follow the same settings I have in here. There is no problem. You can, for the mesh, I choose to be, well, before I was having that bug, yeah. But if you go to the mesh of the character and go down to the object type, you're going to be able to see that I have this custom collision enabled in here. And those are the settings it worked for me. Of course, sometimes you might have those bugs and it's annoying, and it's very much testing out to see which collision settings will work the best. And as you can see, you can pretty much copy all the settings as it's on mine in here. You're probably not going to have the foot placement channel because it's something that I don't use. And the weapon channel, if you have it, you can ignore, but other than that. And for the capsule component, you also have to set up those types of collisions. So for the collision enabled, I have collision enabled, query in physics, pawn, trace responses. You can choose to ignore the pawn and to ignore the visibility for the traces, camera, and all the others. Now for the weapon master, the skeletal mesh. Of course, if you're not using weapon master, if you're using like a simple gun blueprint, as this one right here, you can use the same settings as well. So the skeletal mesh settings, the skeletal mesh collision settings are collision enables physics only, no query collision. Object type is war dynamic. And the visibility for the traces are blocked, and object type responses are all blocked. Now for the box collision, I set everything to be ignored. Only for the object type, I set it to be weapon. And the collision enable is query only, no physics collision. Now for the skeletal mesh, I think it's very important for you to be setting the collision enable to physics only, no query collision. If you select to be query enabled, what's going to happen is that if you try to step on it, the character is going to glitch. The movement of the character is going to try to glitch, and it's going to be very bad. As you can see right here, the weapon glitches away from the character. The weapon pretty much says to you, I don't want you. I don't want you. As you can see right there. But if you set the M4A1 to back to physics only, no query collision, as you can see, now the issue is solved. It pretty much solves the issue. Yeah. So you can try to copy all the settings that I have on mine here. If you want, I can send you a screenshot and try to solve it on your own. I think the right way to do this would be collapsing everything to a function. As you can see, everything can get very complex really quickly. So what I'm going to do is just go into copy, actually not copy, but select all of this and collapse this to a function if the engine allows me. I'm not going to select the macro references because I don't need them, but let me just see if we can, oh, I can collapse them to a function as well. Great. Okay, I'm just going to delete those references in there and collapse everything to a function. So I'm just going to right click, collapse your function, and plug that in there. I'm not going to really need those input actions. And I'm also not going to need this collapse graph. This goes away. And the function name is going to be called holster. For this one is going to be called holster pistol. But I think we could also make it adaptable so it can holster whatever, whatever weapon you want to holster. Oops. This is going to be for, so in here, just going to start adding a lot of inputs necessary for running all this nodes right here. So we have the detach, set actor transform, set simulate physics, set collision types, and finally attach the component. Finally attach the pistol or the rifle, whatever you want. And we just want to fill up those input values. As you can see, it requires the target, the transform, and all of them requires a target. So what we're going to do right now is just to fill up those targets through the function. Now this target here, I think it's the skeletal mesh, if I'm not wrong, skeletal mesh. And if you try to plug if you actually get this case the pistol and get skeletal mesh, you can plug it directly in here, as you can see. Now, if you now what you also can do is unplug this, and let's say if you want to use the same value that's going to be filled out in the input value, but you want the output value of the input value. So whatever comes in the input value gets out in this variable right here, which is called skeletal mesh. If you scroll down, you're going to be able to see that we have a get skeletal mesh variable in here. It's not actually a variable. It's a variable that it's basically from the function. So you can just plug that in there and it's going to work. It's going to work the same as plugging this variable in here. So you have, two ways of, making the function to be a lot more cleaner and a lot more organizable for your code. As you can see, they've added a nice little f to show that this is a variable from a function. I think this f didn't show in the previous versions of Unreal Engine, so that's good. Now finally, we're just going to go ahead and get the get the input actions, the input values to be in there. So holster, this is going to be the holster socket. We also have the other socket, which is the equip socket. Equip means to, equip the weapon from the holster to the character's hand. So I think this is called the weapon master. If you go to the class default, you're going to be able to see that we have the equip socket in here. As you can see, we have an error again, which is a scene component object reference is not compatible with primitive component object reference, and that's a very annoying bug. It's not actually a bug, it's actually a reference issue. It's a SKU issue, as we can call it. So as you can see, you have to have the same skeletal mesh component type and not the other one. So as you can see, this is scene component, but what we actually want to have is the skeletal mesh component object reference. And of course, we're going to have to update all the variables again so they can work. We also need the box reference. So I'm just going to, in this case, it's going to get the box. And if you hover over it, you're going to be able to see what kind of object reference you have. In this case, the box collision object reference. So I'm just going to add a new input in here called box collision object reference. So as you can see, box collision, we have object reference. And the name, it could be box, just box. I think it's already enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this reference in here. Tribal chief, hello. I came here yesterday and asked about how to hide the widget from the viewport when the boss dies. Yeah. Oh, you fixed it? Nice. Congratulations. So what did you do to fix it? Because I also need to learn how to develop. I'm not sure. I'm not very good at HUD. Developing the HUD part. For me, it's a real hustle. I guess we also should make a new input, and this is going to be called this is going to be the type of boolean, and this is going to be called hoster. No, I think that's not the right way to do it, I guess. But yeah, I think we named the skeletal mesh. Let's make this function to be called hoster pistol first. There we go. All right. So I created a reference to my boss health widget. Then I went into the blueprint where my boss died, to the custom event that my boss dies is remove the parent node, and it worked. By the way, is Mixamo down? I am trying to get access. I'm trying to access it since yesterday, but I'm getting errors. I'm not sure. I think the last time I used Mixamo to download animations was, I think it was 2 years ago, or 1 year ago, 1 year and a half. I think the Mixamo animations, they are useful if you have a root motion converter, which converts the pelvis location to the root motion, and it gives the root motion for the character when the character attacks. Because the Mixamo animations, they come with the problem that you cannot enable root motion because the root is attached to the pelvis. So it makes it so that you cannot actually play root motion animations. But if you have a converter and all the Mixamo animations already converted, I think it works great. Can you try to open Mixamo right now, just for the confirmation? Right now I'm avoiding clicking on links because I think yesterday or the day before yesterday I got hacked. Someone stole my Hotmail account. I don't know how, but I got to recover it. So right now I'm just avoiding to click on any links that I could. So here it requires the scene component object reference. So I'm just going to scene component object reference, and this is going to also be scene component. And there's a even better way of doing this, which is you don't really need to plug and make every single input key in here. But as we're just testing, we're going to make it this way for now. And then later we can refine the code to be much better. What are you making, by the way? I see your lives every day, but I have no idea what you're building. Right now, we're just building the holster and pickup system where the character can, automatically holster the pistol. As soon as we pick up the rifle, so we're just basically working on that. And after this, after we work with the system of picking up and dropping and equipping the pistols, the all types of weapons that we have. Right now we currently have 3 types of weapons, but only 2 overlay layers set up right now, which is the pistol and the rifle. As you can see right here on the overlay layers, we have the layer blending, overlay layers. We have only the rifle and the pistol to set up. So after we finish the pick up and drop and equip systems, we're going to jump into the bow. Let me actually get the bow state in here. So we're going to also set up the bow upper body overlay state, which also is going to look very nice. And after the bow, perhaps we can add some knife and grenade, which doesn't include in the other overlays on the other available projects that we have online to download, which is this one right here. You can download this for free. So as you can see, we have the rifle, hands, injured. So I'm just going to be able to add, the grenade, all the other types of weapons that we wish to have. Maybe also hand combat. Cool. Have you made any playable games before, like downloadable? I would love to try out your games. No, I think I'm still very recent to Unreal Engine. I think I only have like 3 years of experience on building those, tutorials, the commotion systems, and also working for companies. So I'm still very recent and pretty new to Unreal. I'm still learning a lot of things. I learn something every day that makes the difference when building, next systems. So I'm just willing to pass this knowledge away to other people, share the knowledge. But right now I'm not building any games, but in the future, maybe after 1 year or 2 years, maybe I'm able to make my own game. But for now, I'm just working for companies. Oh, set actor transform. I forgot about this. I'm actually going to create another BP weapon master type. Okay, so I'm just going to create another input pin in here. This is going to be weapon master, BP weapon master object type. And this is going to be called actor reference. And then I'm just going to go to the target and get the actor reference. And there you go. And now I'm just going to plug that in there. So that's going to be red. All right. Are you making the Souls-like game by Guaca Games? Are you working for Guaca Games? Yeah, I also watched some tutorials from Guaca at the beginning when I was starting to learn Unreal. Those tutorials were pretty useful for me as well. So has rifle and H. No, rifle in hands. Monster Mode said, you store a generic hit actor reference on hit? Yes. Box trace for objects, but how do you access the skeletal mesh component from that actor? Yeah, so you don't access it. So there is no way to access the skeletal mesh. So I think, yeah, for the generic hit actor, you cannot. So if you go back to the weapon pickup drop holster logic, as you can see, I store a generic hit actor. Hold on. All right, so you store the generic hit actor, but if you try to get the skeletal mesh from it, there is no way to get it. And the reason why is because the box trace for object is, I think it's meant to be, I don't know, but I think it's meant to be optimized. So that way you don't access all the reference all at once, so that you could cause, you know, the engine to not be as much as optimized as it should be. So you have to get the reference of that alone. So let's say if you want to get the reference of this pistol right here, which is a child of the master component. Of course, there are two ways of doing this, because I'm using the master class, the master blueprint class, which is this one right here. So I create a child so that I can create so that I can create multiple weapons out of the same master blueprint. So as you can see, here is a child of the weapon master, and I have the skeletal mesh changed and the box as well. I think the box I don't change, I only change the skeletal mesh to represent the actual weapon. So in here, after I promote the generic hit actor, if you want to get the actor, you're gonna have to get all references. If you want to have access to the skeletal mesh of this hit actor in here, you're gonna have to get a function to be working. So you get a for each loop with break, and then you get that reference of the generic hit actor, and then you get all actors of a class, and then you're going to specify the, if you're using a weapon master like this one, you're going to specify the blueprint that you want. In this case, it's the weapon master. So out of this, you're going to plug that directly in here. There's no problem. And then in here, out of the array element, if you want, you can print a string just to see. So here, as you can see, you can get the skeletal mesh. Yes, I'm using weapon master. Okay, great. So if you're using weapon master, that means that you could potentially have multiple weapons, such as, you know, pistol, rifle, or bow, all the same, you know, child from that class. So all of these three types of weapons, different types of weapons, are child, are children, in the plural, are children of that class, of that parent class, which is the weapon master. So what we're gonna do in this case, then this case is specific. So as you can see, out of the array element, you can get the skeletal mesh, but the problem is you could get a lot of references, right? So if you try to debug this and try to get something to work in here, let's say, so as soon as you press F, it's going to search for all those childs. As you can see, as soon as you press F, it shows up for you all the available types of weapons that you have. So you have rifle child, pistol and A child, and they are all in the world. So if you add a new bow in here, it's going to show up for you the bow child 2, bow child 0. So if you want to get that, so if you want to get the reference that the box trace has identified, which is probably the most thing that everybody wants, you're just going to get the generic hit actor, and if it matches with the, of course, this for each loop is going to loop through all the references that it found in the world. So you're going to get the generic hit actor. I think it doesn't really matter if you put it this way or if you put it that way, but I think it's better for you to put it this way. The array element is going to go in the A input pin in here, And for the B, you're going to get the object reference of the generic hit actor. And in case if you find that actor, so of course we're going to go through a loop, and we're going to get the branch. And this branch is going to determine when exactly, if found at all, the reference. So you have two references. One reference that you cannot get the skeletal mesh from. So even if you get it, you cannot get it. But the other reference, this reference here, you can get the skeletal mesh from, as you can see right here. So basically what we can do is you can press on play. And if you try to, let's say, pick up a rifle, so as you can see, it's going to print out, as you can see, the name of the rifle. So let's say text color is going to be green. So as soon as you press on play, it's going to print out the exact type of weapon that you found on the trace. So as you can see now, it's pistol 1H. But now if you want to save that reference, you're going to right click and promote it to a variable and call the saved reference. And then in here, what you're actually going to do to end that execution, you're going to break so that the loop does not keep looping unnecessarily, right? So that we finish with a golden key. And then after that, you can do whatever you want with the weapon. If you want to destroy the weapon or you get the skeletal mesh, whatever you want to do, you can do it. So get skeletal mesh asset. And then let's say you want to apply physics or, do whatever you want, you can do it. And it works. So now you just learned how to get the reference so that you can get the skeletal mesh. And that's pretty much the setup that you're going to have. There's no need to add too much things on the top of this. This is just a simple code that it should come by default. If you, as you can see, rifle skeletal mesh M41. This case it's the bow. So yeah. So this way you can basically save another reference that you can be able to get the skeletal mesh from. Great brother said, "Hi bro, recall me or not?" No, I don't remember. The one was talking about making project together. Yeah, recently there are a lot of people asking me to do a project together, so I don't really remember like all of them. Project. All right, looks like we're gonna. Why no sound today? Yeah, there's sound. Yeah, there's sound. Sometimes I need to not talk too much because sometimes I work better without speaking. So I guess this is pretty much different from everybody. But right now, what we're going to actually do is, for some reason, as you can see right here, when I pick up the weapon right now, and when I drop it, there is no, if I try to pick it up again, there's no way to pick it up again for some reason. So what I'm going to try to do is get the BP weapon pistol and try to plug in the reference to see if it's going to work. Yeah, there's something wrong in here. Yeah, funny enough, because when I try to do that with the rifle, when I drop it, before I used to make it work. Polly said, yeah, seems like I got some issue because it took forever to get going. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to get this to be fixed before the stream, because I don't really know what's going on. As you can see, if I get the weapon master, the skeletal mesh, it works for both. As you can see, if I get the weapon master, it works. So I'm not sure what the issue is yet. So if I pick up the pistol, drop it, okay, it works great. Now if I pick it up again, as you can see, there's no... I think it's because the last issue I had with this was because the weapon master was not really in place. Was not really working. So if I try to get the collision to be in here, as you can see, the box is in there. Now, let me try to get it and then drop it again. Let's see if the box remains there. So as you can see, the box is not there anymore. But if I pick up the rifle and then drop it again, and then try to pick it up again and drop it again, and then do this, as you can see, the box, as you can see, this thicker line in here is appearing. But in this one, when I drop it, it doesn't appear for some reason. Now, that could be because if you go to the event graph of the rifle child, as you can see, we have those orange nodes right here. So what they're doing is basically getting all the attributes from the parent, right? So it's going to follow the same settings, the same code that we have in the parent. So whatever we run inside the weapon master, such as this code right here, as you can see, we have this code is plugged in the begin play, and the weapon master, it's inside the weapon master code. But if you go to the rifle child, as you can see, we have this orange node in here, which means that it's basically pretty much following and executing the same code in here, which means as soon as this rifle is in the world and as soon as we press on play, the parent code is executed. So we have the same, pretty much the code is executed. But in the pistol 1A child, we don't have the orange node, which means we need to get it to be working as well. So that it needs to execute this code, and it's going to make our life greater. So I'm just going to right click and add the call to parent function, and then just plug that in there, and that's going to work beautifully. Now the other thing is the event actor begin overlap. I think we can also do that. I don't know why it wasn't before, so I'm just going to go ahead and just follow the same parent. So for the event tick as well, maybe in the future we're going to have some code in the event tick, so it's very important to have that in place. So now let's try it again. Let's try to pick up the pistol, drop it again, and if I just go outside, oh, the box is still not there. I'm not sure why. It's supposed to work. Let me just see. Drop it again. Yeah, it's working, but it's not visually appearing, but it's working. Let me just see it again. It's not visually showing up there, but it's working. So maybe if we restart the engine, it's going to show up. I'm not sure. But as soon as it's working, everything's fine. You don't need to worry about it. As long as it's working. Monster Mode said, I have a different bug. Once I pick up the weapon and holster it, then try to pick up another weapon, it picks up the weapon from the holster into the hand. Yeah. I was having this bug, I just fixed it. It's a little bit complex to explain, but I'm going to try to explain a little bit. But I'm going to be uploading all the changes that I'm going to be making here. So, but so the way I fixed this. So the way I fixed this was to organize this code a little bit, to organize also the macro. So in case if the weapon detected by the trace is the pistol, then we're going to run the flicker action, just a simple animation to solve the IK conflict, so that the legs cannot be spread out, look weird. So as soon as we play the flicker action, we immediately block the player movement input, the character ability to walk and move anywhere. And as soon as the animation is finished, blend out or interrupted, we are going to check if the character has the rifle in his hands. So if it has, we have this macro here. I pretty much refined it today in this live stream. It took me like 1 hour to make it to work. And I still have to plug those values in here because it's not 100% working. So just gotta keep that in mind. So firstly, checks. Of course, I have to also refine this. So I think it's better to wait for the next live stream because I'm also working on that. But for the result I have is just like this. If I pick up the rifle, it works. Now if I pick up the pistol, it's going to have a little bit of bug there. So as you can see, the character just puts his hand holster two times. It plays the animation 2 times for some reason. But as we still have to work on this, maybe it's better to wait for the next live stream so that we have more time to work on this. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for this live stream. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And I still have to solve the bug that sometimes when you pick up the rifle, the leg of the character, it glitches on the weapon. I think the character identifies the weapon as something that he can't step up, and this is problem of the... So if you want to fix this, it could be something related to the IK, and sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, and it's very annoying because sometimes if you're running, it tries to... the leg tries to step up on the weapon. So inside the sandbox character, if you take a look at the animation graph and where the IK is set up, you're going to find the leg IK. If you're using the same system as mine, it's pretty much the same. You're going to find the animation layer, and if you go to the leg IK, I'm not sure if it's the leg IK, it's the foot placement. And as you can see right here, we have the complex trace channel. So we have the foot placement channel, which was the channel I created. So if you go to the weapon master and go to the skeletal mesh and scroll on to the custom collision, we set everything to ignore, but that's not enough. We also have to set that to the box and the foot placement channel. I think that's the reason why that's making that bug. So all you have to do is just ignore the foot placement channel. So this should be disabled for all the child. But basically, what I've done here is just create a separate channel so that the foot placement channel, the IK only works for those objects that you specify it to work. So let's say I want to make the IK to work only for this block right here. So I can just make that, go to the static mesh and set it to be the object type. Where is it? Oh, right here. So here in the collision responses, you can just block the foot placement channel so that the IK work. At least that's my intention. I don't know if it really works, but that's probably going to solve most of the issues that we have. Yep. So that's going to be it for this live stream. I hope you enjoyed, and I see you next time. Great Brother said, I have a question. Did you make the whole thing in the whole series of the live stream? Yes. I did everything so far on the live stream. The whole code, the whole code inside the sandbox character for the weapons, for the sandbox character, the migration of the layer blending as well. I did everything on the stream. We had a lot of bugs, a lot of challenges that we've already fixed. And yeah, it's a big, tough challenge for pretty much everyone who's trying to get this system working. All right, so I'm just gonna go now and see you later.